Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my hair journey, and pretty much from the time I was really little to now. When I originally did my questions, I just knocked everything over my bed. When I originally did my questions for my Q&As, like I'd asked everyone like, what do you want to know? What would you like to see me do, stuff like that, and someone had mentioned that they wanted me to talk about my hair journey, so that is what I'm gonna do today. So when I was younger, I had this really pretty like Shirley Temple hair. Like I was blonde and I had really curly hair, and around the time I was like, I think 3 or 4, Mulan came out. And my mom was on the phone with my aunt at the time, and she was like, it was slow motion. I turned around, I yelled no. I had a pair of scissors in my hand with a chunk of hair, and I was like, I'm Mulan, whack. So, ever since I was young, like, I really had fun with my hair. I wasn't really scared to do much. It wasn't until 6th grade, I think, when I finally did some chemical to my hair. I was just chilling or whatnot, and my mom was like, well, your hair's growing in a new color. I was going from like a lighter, I went from like a light brown, blonde to a dark blonde, and I was phasing into like the color I have now, which is like a medium brown, medium to dark brown, but that like transition, it just looked really mousy. It didn't really have the best color to it. So my mom was like, you know what, let's go get highlights. Let's go get you highlights so that way it just brightens your face up. Because I was dancing at the time too. Like, so if I had like a color in my hair that just was going to wash me out, that wasn't going to look good on stage either. So she was like, let's just go do that. So we went to the Aveda Institute, and I got my first ever thing of highlights, and I loved them, and I thought they were awesome. And now looking back at them, I really wish they would have done like a slice weave, but that's another story. But I liked them. I thought they were cool. I had like a light color in my hair. But the thing is, once you get highlights, you kind of have to keep going back to getting the highlights. So my mom took me like 3 or 4 times, saw how they were doing it. My mom's like incredibly smart, so she just ended up getting a box color, which I understand why she did that. But she did that, and she was actually able to like highlight my own hair at home. Like it was fine, but I don't like sitting that long. So getting my hair highlighted at that age, and I think it was in 7th grade when we were like at the beginning of 7th grade when we were still highlighting it. Doing highlights at that age, I was not there for it because I did not want to sit for that long. Whatever. By the time I was in 7th grade, I finally told my mom, you know what? Let's just do like a box style over. Like, it's fine. I'm good with it. Like, I don't need highlights. Let's just make me blonder. And my mom said, okay, that's cool. Fine, whatever. It'll be easier. We'll do it from scalp to ends. It'll be a faster process. No biggie. And that is when I started dyeing my hair with box dye, which now I will say don't do it, but at the time that was all we could afford. My mom couldn't afford to take me to a salon every 4 weeks to get my roots rebleached. Like, that wasn't going to be a thing. So we were trying to do a natural color, but because I have red and orange undertones, it was basically making my hair look like a really ugly copper color. If I did a copper color right, I think I'd look really good with it, but we were not doing a really good copper color. We were we were doing something else. So with that, it was very much okay, well, your hair is kind of reddish now. We don't know what to do with it. And it wasn't until we ran into Miss Rachel, which you've probably heard me talk to her about in my Q&A. I believe I talked to her about in my Q&A. That was a couple weeks ago. I can't remember anymore. But yeah, so she was like, no, you need an ash color, because now that I know my color theory, a blue purple is going to cancel out a like orange yellow color, and I was pretty orange, so she told me to do ash, and I got this really pretty golden color in my hair. And so I had really long hair, like past the boobs, for the longest time, for like years, and finally I told my mom, I was like, I just want to cut it off. So freshman year, I finally got the right hair color, box dye, and I like cut my hair to here, just below my actual shoulder, just below it. And my mom was like, okay, but you have to be able to still put it in a bun, because I was, of course, dancing, so I still had to like be able to put it in a bun. And I did. I figured it out. At that length to put it in a bun. So that was like my first like big kind of like chop. So all through high school, it was I would cut it to my shoulder at the beginning of the year, and then I'd let it grow. Cut it, let it grow. Cut it, let it grow. And by my senior year, I don't think I had cut it my senior year. I think I kept letting it grow. So by the time I was in college, because I didn't touch it besides just dyeing it blonde, it had grown like almost down to like here. So my hair was super long and blonde. Some people, like when I show them my photos, if they've known me only since like hair school or whatnot, like they don't believe that I was blonde until I show them a picture, which is really funny. But once I was in college, that's when I started to really experiment with my color, and my mom helped me put like the splat color. Again, don't use splat. It does not leave your hair unless it's as porous as what mine was. But she let me do like a pink and like a raspberry color just on my ends, so that way like if it stayed and I was done with it, like we could have just chopped it off, like not a big deal. But it was really cool. And after that, that's when I started kind of doing it on some of the other girls in the company at Vista at the time. So that was really fun for me. I had started playing with color a little bit, and then I went back to Miss Rachel to cut my hair, and it was almost to my butt. It was really long, and it was curly, and it is not even curly, just because it was so long it started to become kind of like really wavy. And then I was like, you know what, I want to like chop it to here. She's like, are you sure? Because it's gonna bounce up because it's curly hair, so like less weight there, it gets curlier, it bounces up more. I was like, yeah, like I want to do it. So I had this blonde curly hair, like it was cut to here, but it bounced up just below my chin or right at my jawline or whatnot. And I loved my hair that color. I thought it was great. So I had that for a couple months. And then I did a little bit of a misstep. And then I decided to put the splat all over my hair. That was probably one of the dumbest decisions I think I've ever made with my hair, just because it would not leave, because my hair was so healthy. At one point with the blonde, we had been blonding it from like my scalp to my ends, and that's when Miss Rachel said, no, just do your scalp to like your mid shaft, which is like the middle of your hair, just to kind of refresh, but your ends don't need it because they're already porous, they're already done. My hair was like pretty much for the most part really healthy, so that raspberry color that I'd put in my hair faded so bad. I looked like the bride of like Ronald McDonald. It faded real bad. So I didn't know what to do with it. So we called Miss Rachel and we're like, we're just trying to cover it. What's like a good color? So she like sent us a good just color that that we should look for, like brown with a little bit of ash in it, whatnot. And we're like, okay, cool, whatever. So we threw it on, and I actually really liked it because it was brown and you could kind of see a little bit like of a pink hue trying to come through it, which was really cool at the time. And that was just a little under a year before I ended up going to cosmetology school at Paul Mitchell. So I lived with that for a while. I let it grow out. My hair grew down to about here, and it was like this wavy, curly thing, and I absolutely loved it. But by the time I got there, you could see the difference between my natural and the dyed stuff. And so I did another big chop, and I had this cute little like almost like fro looking thing the first time I did it, just because my hair was natural for the first time and I had no product. I didn't have any chemical in it, and I didn't put any like heat to it at all, so it was like the most natural you could get. My hair was virgin hair again. It was amazing. I chopped it off, and then because I'm at cosmetology school and we like to play with each other's hair and we like to experiment, that is when I started getting into trying like dark violets and violet reds and red violets, and I finally found this one color that I absolutely loved, and it was a red color. It was a red tone, and oh, I wish my hair was like how I graduated school with, because it was probably one of my favorite colors I think I've ever done, and it was like my favorite hairstyle I think I've ever done. But shortly after I had graduated, I got a job at the salon that I work and manage at now. Thank you, Brenda. But the main reason she had hired me was because I had this red vibrant hair, and it was curly. It was this crazy curl. And then like a week or two after I started working there, I shaved both sides and underneath, so I had like a true undercut. And I walked in and I was like, what? And I never done anything like that. My mom had told me over and over again, don't shave your head, don't shave your head, do whatever color, but don't shave your head. And I did it, and I didn't even know I was gonna do it until I sat in the chair, and I was like, I showed my stylist Kaylee. She was one of my teachers, but I went back so she could cut my hair, and I was like, I think I want to do this. And my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, we had just started dating too. Rachel was going into a completely different world. I made him sit at the waiting room. I was like, just stay there, don't look, whatever. And so she looks at it and she's like, okay, because she thought she was just doing a trim, and I like had changed it last minute and said I wanted to shave it. So we ended up shaving it. I went home, and my mom was like, I didn't tell her what I was doing. I walked into her bedroom and she's like, what did you do? And she didn't like it at first, but she ended up actually really liking it. It fit my personality and whatnot, so it was pretty good. I'm not mad. Gotta hydrate. So I shaved all of it off, and then I decided that I wanted to be like magenta and purple all over. So I had one of the girls like completely blonde me out so we could like put the correct colors on my hair after that, and that looked really cool. That stayed for a long while, and then it faded, and I was on vacation when it like faded really bad. So the night before I went back to work, I had Nate, my husband, I just had him color my hair. I was like, you're gonna figure out how to do this and you're gonna do it, so that way I don't have to, like, I have good hair when I go back tomorrow. And it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't what it used to be, just because I didn't think to strip the color first. I was just trying to cover it up really fast, and it didn't work. So I had to like dye it again the next night with a glaze just to semi keep it healthy. But yeah, not my finest moment, but I fixed it. It's fine. Yeah, so I kind of kept that for a couple months, and then I started growing it out again. It kind of like how this is, just no bangs the last time I did it. And I grew it out because I was getting married. Nate had proposed, and about 3 months before he actually proposed, we were talking about it. He was like, find a date at the church that you know you're gonna want, and then it'll happen when it happens. I'm like, okay, cool. So by then I had like already started to grow out my hair to give it enough time, because I wanted to do like a 50s type of, not theme, but just feel to the wedding. And my dress looked really vintage, so I wanted finger waves, or the closest thing I could get to like that kind of look, like Victory Girl finger wave kind of type of situation, just because my hair was still so short. Like, it was to here when we got married, so we had to figure it out. But yeah, so it grew out to about here, and then it was more of a natural red color. It had like just a little bit of a berry undertone for it for the wedding, but that year I kind of just let it do its thing. I played with a couple different red tones because those were easier to mess around with without really like damaging my hair for the most part, but we did that. And then like I think a month after we had gotten married, I shaved it again. We had only shaved one side, and then I was like, okay, let's shave the other side, and it kind of went down further back that time, so it looked kind of like a mohawk, which was okay. It wasn't my favorite look in the world, but it was okay. And then I had them like really just like fix it up and move it all the way up to the occipital bone. And after that, I had about 18 different hair colors last year. I had about 5 different versions of gray and silver. I had a billion different versions of purple, red, and like red violets. There's like a billion different shades. There was magenta, there was orange. The neon orange was really cool looking, and then it faded into this ugly ass yellow. Ugh. And then I finally went back to red brown, and I was red brown for like, I think almost 3 months, and that's a long time for me. I don't usually have the same hair color that long. Like we had a lot of girls that got hired around the time that I was doing my hair constantly, like just changing it up almost every other week, just because I was so bored with it, and my hair was finally light enough that I could play around with it like that. So me keeping it that red-brown color was a big deal. And then at the beginning of this year, we did just straight up, I wouldn't say it was black because it wasn't, but it was almost like a, it was just a neutralizer. That's all we did was what we used, neutralizing glaze. It was red, so green neutralizes, so we put like a green-gray kind of undertone or toner to it to just neutralize it. It looked black even though it really wasn't, but that was a lot of fun. And then like a week or two before quarantine, we had added highlights. So like 2 weeks ago, I think I retoned it so it looks a little bit fresher. It's starting to look a little scary there for a minute, just because it was so harsh. But yeah, and I did cut my own hair during this quarantine, during this last month, just because my ends were so like dead, and it was like that much, so it wasn't too bad. But I cut the front just short enough and didn't realize it, which is fine. It doesn't bother me. But now I get to play with bangs a little bit. I never had actual bangs. I had bangs when when I cut my own hair, and it was either in 8th or 9th grade, I think. Yeah, we're gonna go with 8th or 9th grade. It's just fine. But it was like my hair was naturally curly, and then my bangs were flat, like straight. So, you know, classic early 2000s hair for you at home hair. But yeah, so I've just been rocking out the natural because I just want to do the no heat challenge. I don't really want to touch my hair with heat if I can help it, and I just want to let it do its own thing. Screw that up every time. So thank you for tuning in today and listening to my hair journey. I hope that didn't take up too much of the time. I tried to make it a little bit faster than my other videos. I'm trying here. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and if you guys want to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you can get notifications every time I post. So other than that, I hope you guys have a fabulous day.